Hey folks, today I'm headed to the lake and we're going to do a deep dive on foot control steering kits and really doing some troubleshooting on how they work, and if you're having any trouble with your foot control steering, how to overcome those troubles. I will say there's a number of model and brand specific foot control steering kits out there. This one is for Wilderness Systems Kayaks. It's the Stern Moto foot control kit for Wilderness Systems Kayaks. This is the native Watercraft foot control steering kit, and this one is for the Bonafide Kayaks, the Bonafide SS Series steering kit. What we're not going to do in this video is to do installs. I have so many different install videos to show how to do it. Actually, most of them are done with the Innovative Sportsman foot control steering kit, which is a more generic one that isn't brand specific, but you can do on any number of different kayaks. That's actually the one I have on the inflatable that I take everywhere. The NRS, or really it's the Star. The brand is Star Rival Fish, and I've done them on I've used that Innovative Sportsman one on a number of different kayaks, and really you can adapt it to your Hobie Pro Anglers or really anything. I've been working with Jackson Kayak, and they have all the different components together to be able to come up with a foot control steering kit, and they should have one soon. But what I want to do today is to go over the operation and a little bit on troubleshooting if you're having trouble with it not being completely smooth. So as I said, we're not going to be doing installs in this video. This is more of a troubleshooting guide and something that can help folks plan on which type of foot control steering setup they want to set up on their boat based on their needs. If you go to my YouTube channel, The Little Stuff, go to playlists, and what we're doing here is I'm trying to get you to where we can find the 49 different install videos that I've done. Well, it's likely that your particular model is in that list right there, if it will go to that. So just scroll through these and hopefully you can find your model. If not, please reach out to me. If you can't find the right install video for your particular kayak brand and model, my phone number is 815-528-2007. My email is jeff.little@torqeedo.com. I will find one that is similar enough to fit whatever boat you have, so you can install foot control steering. So the main components of foot control steering are the sliding foot pegs, the track that they slide back and forth in, some sort of cord or cable that it attaches to, the tubing that it goes in up here and comes out back here, that little, not the cord, but what it's sliding through. It's tubing, it's inside. It actually looks like this. So on the cord itself, what actually, when you press on the pedal forward and it tugs on the steering triangle back on the left side to pull that forward to steer the motor, can be one of two options. This is what we used to use, and I've switched to using the Spectra, but this is braided stainless steel cable. It's important, if you're going to use this route, and this is usually part of a rudder kit, that you use stainless steel. If you use something that is, you know, not stainless steel, it will bind up. You get salt water in this and it will choke up in this tubing and you will not be able to move it. I did it once. It's a bummer. You got to start over. The other option is the Spectracord, and this stuff you can totally retie and get the right length. It's sold by the 10-foot section of length by Innovative Sportsman. Wilderness Systems uses it. Bonafide and Native Watercraft steering kits use this. I believe that the Jackson kayak version will also use this. So the Spectracord is really the best, because the other option, the stainless, needs to be crimped. And once you put this little crimp on there, you put it in one side, loop it to the back of the foot control steering sliding foot peg, and then crimp it back in there. It's kind of permanent. Whereas this you can untie and retie. There's a couple different options. I prefer, because I get greater range of motion, this style where the foot control steering, you know, foot peg slides forward and back in this track. The other option, and I don't like this as much, but if you have limited space inside your kayak, you know, for tracks, you're really not gaining that much, and you are sacrificing range of rotation, but is this gas pedal style. So you push that forward, and on the opposite side it would be pulling this back. These are problematic for a couple different reasons, but there are certain applications where you have a cramped space inside the kayak where this is the better option, but that list of kayaks is pretty narrow. So I strongly recommend, instead of the gas pedal, which is going to give you a range of rotation about from there to there, that you use the kind that I have on here, which is the sliding foot peg one, which is going to give you a much greater range of rotation. So before we get going, there's one thing that we need to do to make sure we have proper operation of foot control steering, and that is to adjust the length. Now these are set up for me, but if I had someone with shorter legs, I would pinch this, slide it forward, and then push it forward on both sides, and make sure that, you know, when I'm going to put it back to where I need it. When it's operated, you know, when you're moving, going forward, and I'm just giving it a little bit of speed. My feet are even. Right now they're not. I messed up the adjustment, but they're even, and your knee should be bent just a little bit. I'm gonna just move that forward, and then now we're good. So adjusting the length of the foot peg away from the seat is the most important thing before you even get started, so that you know you can go straight and you have a little bit of a bend in the knee, not too much, but not so straight out that you can't steer with your feet. So the next thing to cover with foot control steering is to make sure that we take care of the #1 operator error that we run into. And it's usually folks that are using it for the first time, because especially if they were a paddler first, if they, you know, looked at these foot pegs as something that didn't move, and really in order to paddle effectively, they're static, they don't move, and you use them to push both feet against hard, which really pushes the small of your back against the seat. And what that does, when you push hard against this seat, when you're paddling, you get a really good dig, and it really starts with locking your feet in. But that's not what you're going to do with foot control steering. They're not static. They do move back and forth. And I think the habit of paddling and really locking into the seat conditions people into thinking that they have to have hard pressure against it, against both foot pegs. Really, you only want pressure against one of them. Let me show you what I mean. So right now, I have equal pressure on both left and right foot pegs. As soon as I want to turn to the right, I'm actually going to first release pressure on the left, come off of that one. Then I'm going to push forward with the right. You can tell it turns me very quickly. Did a 360 in place, and now I'm going to do another one because they're fun. And then I'm going to come off the right foot and push with the left one just to straighten it out. And then I continue forward. So first step, release pressure on the side that you don't want to go. Second step, push on the foot peg in the direction that you want to go. When you fail to release pressure on the left side before you put pressure on the right, you can't move the one on the right forward at all. You're fighting yourself. It is a closed loop, and your feet close the loop. So you have to, in order to get this pulley of sorts to move, you can't tie off the other end of the rope. You have to come off of that one before you press that one. Conversely, I'm going to come off of this one before I press that one. Then I'm going to turn right back around. You don't have to come off that far, but you do have to release pressure. Once you get the feel for it, you know, you move your feet in the direction that they need to move, and it becomes very intuitive. But what you cannot do is press on both left and right at the same time. That will break your steering triangle. So now that we've shown the most common operator error of not releasing with one foot pedal before you press on the other one, we're gonna head to shore. We're gonna take a look at some things that can keep you from having that steering triangle lock on there really solidly. We're also gonna look at another option for the steering triangle, the Innovative Sportsman bulletproof steering triangle. If you're using it properly, if you're releasing the foot pressure on the peg opposite the way you're turning, you're not going to break the steering triangle. There are other ways that you can break the steering triangle. Really, it's about how rough of water are you fishing in. Are you having the, are you going to be out in conditions where the wind throws you into riprap? Are you going to, be moving the motor around and bang into tree roots or cypress knees or something else that's out there that can put a downward pressure on it and can snap that plastic piece? You should not be snapping that plastic piece if you have it set up properly, and if you're releasing one foot's pressure before you apply the other one. But let's go take a look at the other option for the steering triangle, the Innovative Sportsman bulletproof steering triangle. I gotta do a few more donuts first. It's just fun. All right, so I do carry a spare steering triangle. I've never had to use it. I keep it with me. I think that it's much more likely that I would break it in the jumble of gear in the front of my truck than on the water, because I use the foot control steering properly by applying pressure with one, but not until I release pressure with the other foot. That being said, I do think there's tremendous value in not only carrying a spare, but in this product. This is the Innovative Sportsman bulletproof steering triangle. This one is machined, I think he said airplane grade aluminum. I don't know, man, it's tough. And this one will stand up to abuse better than the plastic one that's standard, and it does a good job. Innovative Sportsman makes one of these for the Ultralight 1103 and one for the Ultralight 403. I think the 403 one is orange, and then this one's this sort of kind of brassy color. So one thing that I will point out is that the steering triangle has more than one purpose beyond just, you know, being the connector that, you know, to which you connect your steering lines for foot control steering. It can also be used to lock the steering in place. The cotter pin goes right through there. I don't recommend it. It's foot control steering is something that gives you the agility. It gives you the power to turn if you're trying to steer with a rudder. It's akin to, you know, trying to turn your vehicle by rolling down the window and sticking your hand out the window to turn your truck. It's just, you're not going to overpower 3 horsepower electric outboard. So foot control steering, lots of advantages. The reason people want to lock the steering is because it's an easier rig. So if you can't do it by watching some of the videos that I've done, get a paddle shop to do it. Find someone who can. I know locally for me that's Trade Innovative Sportsman, but Delaware Paddle Sports does it. Just call up your local shop and say, hey, do you do foot control steering installs of Torqeedo motors? Besides its steering function, it also is, or can be, what you attach the motor lift bar to, and it slides right in that part. But if you're having trouble really getting that super tight and the steering triangle is slipping on you, there's a couple things you can do. The 1103 comes with this paste, and it's basically, if I open this up, it's this clear pink gritty goo, and what you do is that you wipe it on the motor shaft, on this pipe, in the place where the steering triangle is going to be sitting. The other thing that you want to do, and this is kind of hard to show, but I'm going to show it with this other one, is that you tighten this quick release as much as you possibly can. You need to have it, you know, on the pipe before you do this, but say it's on the pipe, you're going to turn this knob, you know, righty tighty lefty loosey, right, all the way to the right, and really get that hammered down as much as you possibly can with this lever out. Once you've done that as far to the right as you possibly can, then you're really going to apply maximum force on this level. And it's easy for me because I don't have a pipe in there. It should be hard. It should be very hard to swing that closed. If it is hard, your steering triangle is not going to slip, and you're going to have excellent foot control steering. If you've tightened the quick release here on the steering triangle as much as you possibly can, and it's still, the steering triangle is still slipping, and you've put the grip paste on there, and really just, you've gotten this as tight as you can possibly get it, and it's still sliding on this. One thing you may consider is separating the motor lift bar, which usually goes in here. You do get these ring clamps, and just put one of those, as I've done up here, and put the motor lift bar in one of those. What that does is it allows this gap here to just be in the steering triangle, just to be a little bit closer. Whereas if it's blocked up like it is here with the motor lift bar, it usually works. It's usually fine to have the motor lift bar in the steering triangle, but sometimes that extra step of getting the steering triangle or the motor lift bar out of the steering triangle and putting it in a ring clamp gives you that extra bit of grab that you need to you know, to have that steering triangle not slide on the post. All right, I'm back home, pulled the boat out, and I wanted to do a couple other things in terms of diagnosing if you're not getting good range of rotation, and looks like I'm not in this direction. It kind of stops there. You know, something that you want to do is to kind of look and see, is there anything that you have in your workspace here that is preventing the foot, the foot control steering slides from getting the full range of rotation. And in this case, what we have here is a catch board that is just in the way here, and we just have to find a new place to store this catch board so that it's not interfering with your foot control steering, sliding, and getting full range of rotation with these slides here. So one hang up that I have had with the Wilderness Systems foot control steering kit is that these foot pegs right here have these adjustable pieces. You just pull that and you can slide it back and forth to this little kickstand kicks in different holes for different leg lengths. But the problem that I have is that if I bring this piece too far beyond the end of that metal track right there, I've modified this one, but it came square. It was just at a right angle there. I took this entire piece off and put it in the grinder to round it, and that's something that I recommend you do on the bottom and on the top. I did it on the leading edge, although I never come that far back. I do appreciate having this not catch there, because what'll happen is that this will be all the way forward and this will be all the way back, and you'll be pushing on the opposite side, and this little piece there will catch on that and not be able to slide backwards. So taking that, putting it on a grinder or file or something that's just going to round that piece off is really going to make it smooth so it never catches. The other thing that can happen is the foot pedal itself will catch on the OS pod little clip there. So if the foot is coming forward and jamming in there, you may just try sliding that back a little bit, or just be aware that it is something that can catch on the pedal itself. So those two little, fine-tuning, modification in this case, and in this case just being aware that there can be some interaction there. It's important to keep your foot control steering going on this particular setup on a Wilderness Systems kayak. So regardless of the type of foot control steering setup you have, one thing that you want to do is to test it before you get on the water. Push on each one and make sure that each one slides freely. One of the issues I've had with the Bonafide steering setup is that it's plastic on aluminum, and it's a little bit grabby. So what you want to do in that case, and it's an easy fix and it works really well, is to get dry silicone spray. Spray that on the aluminum slides, and then it's really smooth. The Innovative Sportsman foot control steering kit is really a good one because it's universal. You can put it on any kayak, and it's plastic on plastic. You get the Spectracord with it, and it's just something that works. So if when you get on the water, right before you get on the water, you test the foot control steering and something is keeping it from going forward, don't just leg press it. Figure out what is stopping it from having the full rotation that you really need once you get out of the water. Because if you do just leg press it, you got a lot of strength in these legs, and the weakest link in the system need not break. You just need to find out what's blocking good movement here. because if you just leg press it and hopefully, you know, hoping that it will break loose, it will break. It'll break the steering triangle. And even if you go with the Innovative Sportsman bulletproof steering triangle, it'll find the next weakest link in the system, which could be whatever you use, the little carabiners to connect the system. I don't think it would be the Spectracord, because I'm pretty sure that, you know, you could lift my truck here with it. I'm not sure what it would be next, but don't break your stuff when, you know, you're just trying to get the clean foot control steering system. Figure out what it is and fix the problem, and you'll have great steering.